The views and opinions expressed by the Loft Party Podcast panel participants and guests do not necessarily reflect those of the Good Times with Good People company, the host, or its sponsors.
Just not getting it.
Welcome everybody out there in podcast land. The Good Times with Good People company proudly presents the Loft Party Podcast, where it is always about good times, good people, and good talk. Now that you've received your invitation, the best way to let us know that you're in attendance is to download the party or become official by joining us on Facebook, subscribing on YouTube, iTunes Podcasts, or Google Play Podcasts. Good. Thanks for joining us. Grab a cocktail, light a cigar, or whatever you like to smoke. Share us with your friends, and make yourself at home. I'm your host and moderator, Rio, and let's introduce today's panel. Hey out there in podcast land, I'm your host, Rio, and welcome to the Loft Party Podcast, episode 74. I am prophetic, the three-card Molly theory. I've said it on multiple shows and multiple times, and now I hear it in the voices of pundits out there in pop culture. But remember, I said it first right here on the Loft Party Podcast. But before we get started, let's introduce today's panel. I've got my returning champion, Chris O'Connor. He's the owner of Liquid 9 Entertainment and Investments, as well as having interest in Regal Whiskey and Office Works. I've got Big Dave Elliott, the owner of C&P Construction. I've got Jordan Bradbury. He is in industrial supply sales. I've got Adrian Lewis, CEO and founder of Path to Vision. I've got Lane Boland, one half of the Brothers Grimm, and the anonymous female, because she doesn't want you to know her name. So that brings us to the important things. So let's get to the important things, and the first thing is, what are we drinking? And what we are drinking today is a Pendergast 2.0. And the Pendergast 2.0.
How can you improve on perfection?
Well, let me get my copious notes to make sure that I don't forget any ingredients that are in this beverage.
Mr. O'Connor would probably have something to say.
Well, actually, the funny thing is, I think the reason that they called it at the Rieger, the 2.0, is because of Chris O'Connor.
They're still on the inventory list, and on the bottle it says O'Connor Pendergast. Right.
So, in the Pendergast 2.0, you have 1.5 ounces of Rieger whiskey. You have 3/4 ounces of Doolin sweet vermouth, a 1/2 ounce of Benedictine, 3 to 4 dashes of Angostura bitters. You combine that in a mixing glass, stir over ice, and strain into chilled rocks glass without ice, and garnish with a lemon zest.
So the reason it's a 2.0 is you normally make it with Buffalo Trace. That was the original recipe. And then when Rieger whiskey came out, I was like, what the hell are you doing? Like,
right.
Start making it with Rieger.
Start making it with Rieger, right?
As an investor in that business, I want to see it. It's like I get 10 cents off a drink.
Exactly. And now that you know what we're drinking, what are we smoking? Today we're smoking the Drew Estate. As a matter of fact, I am going to pass this, just for pronunciation, to the most fluent Spanish speaker at the table, Lane Boland.
Norteño Robusto Grande.
There you go. Which is exactly what I was going to say. Kind of. It was going to sound way more black than that. But, but
I'm like a 16th.
Well, we have established that on the program. We actually have established.
A lot of Spanish speakers are black.
This particular smoke is a dark, it's kind of flat and compact. It's really complex in its flavors. You definitely get some notes of raw cocoa bean, maybe even a little milk chocolate, kind of nougat flavors. But even with that, it's not an overly sweet smoke. It's actually a very robust smoke, and was number 7 last year on Cigar Aficionado's top 25 list of cigars. So if you get a chance, find the cigar with the little green and white wrapper, the Drew Estate.
Norteño Robusto Grande.
Just what I was going to say, except it was going to sound way more black.
It's named after a Mexican prison gang. I'm serious. Norteños, La Familia.
I'm gonna take his word for it. You probably should Google that out there, podcast land. I'm not taking his word for it that far. You should probably Google that. But if that is what we're smoking, and now that we've gone through the important things, we do want to mention today's RIP. I'm sure there are more people that passed away, but this particular one touched me because that was part of my childhood. Bobby the Brain Heenan, former wrestler, manager, and announcer for the WWE. He was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. He passed away at 73. And,
You know why they call him the Brain, right?
no.
So back when he was wrestling, he
Smarter than the
got hit so hard on the corner post that it knocked the top of his skull off, and so they just left it out, and he was the Brain.
Once again, out there,
this isn't
podcast
real.
land. Once again, out there, podcast.
Sounds like a good
I mean, as I say, once again, out there, podcast land. You should Google that because I'm not just taking his word for it, but that actually sounds reasonably plausible in an unfortunate ass kind of way.
Well, they put a cap on him. He's okay.
All right. And one thing we did start doing, we didn't want to end this segment on a sad note. So we also added, because it is the Loft Party podcast, a happy birthday section. But coming out of RIPs, I did want to mention, though he has passed, today is James Gandolfini's birthday.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah.
That's the crossover.
He died on his birthday?
No, but today is his birthday.
Hell, way to go out, man.
Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith's wife, for those of you who don't know her independently as an actress.
Dr. Ben Carson.
Dr. Ben Carson. I threw that in because this is a political podcast, and anytime I get a chance to make fun of Dr. Ben Carson, I'm going to do it.
Hey, he shanked a fool.
So he says.
Hey, I like Dr. Carson. I think Dr. Carson's a hell of a man. I think he should be admired.
Well, I mean,
Very
for his brain surgery stuff,
Well, just for
I
the way he
do
came up.
admire him. For anything outside of the operating room, I want him to go away and now.
Onward.
And this is purely for one of the members that was on our Las Vegas podcast, DJ KG. Ricky Bell from New Edition. It's his birthday today. So if you're listening out there in podcast land, I did that one just for you because I knew you would appreciate it. Hey, you can search for the Loft Party Podcast on iTunes Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, and on our Good Times with Good People YouTube channel. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook, tweet us on Twitter, and if you like the content we provide, donate to us on Patreon. www.patreon.com/Loft Party Podcast. You can find all of our links below. And now back to our regularly scheduled program. Let's go right into the next segment. And the next segment, of course, is party games. This week there's two questions on the party game. One is, what is the worst haircut you've ever gotten? Wow. I saw this question and I immediately thought of one person on the panel who's going to know exactly who they are because they just recently had a haircut they didn't like. But that made me think this would be funny. Yes, Blushy McBlushyton across the table.
It's Blushy.
So, talk about you. But we won't start with you. We're going to start with Joe Brett.
That works. Worst haircut. Well, I went to Supercuts. I'm not gonna say which Supercuts. I was just kind of in a rush. I popped in. I said, "Damn, I should be able to get a haircut. You know, no problem." It really wasn't even a haircut. It was more like a lineup. So just the edges and a little bit off the back. So I go in and this beautiful woman. You know, it's like,
There you go. Problem number one.
Right, that's number one. Right.
Now you're sitting there.
That's why you went to Supercut.
So
He peeked in the door like, hey.
yeah, so I'm like, okay. He's like, hey, I'll cut your hair. You know, I was like, all right. You know, so like they do this wash, this massage, It's like, damn, I'm not used to it. And my barber, I go in, he talks shit. Like maybe you get a hot towel, depending on what type of the day of the month it is.
Right.
So, you know, I get the massage, I get the wash. I tell her, I was like, hey, I just kind of want to taper on the side or whatever. And there was so much going on in the cut, I didn't realize the cut was trash.
Right.
And I'm like, man, so I looked in the mirror, I'm like, guys, man, this ain't really what I wanted, man, you know, but she was so nice, the massage,
She was fine.
you know,
She was so pretty.
She was so fine.
Right. Finish the statement. She was fine.
the experience, and I'm married out there, podcast land. I'm not having to sleep on the couch tonight.
Yes. Let's not do that to him.
The experience was good.
Wait, so say this was a long time ago?
This was, yeah.
Just say it was a long time ago.
It was.
A long time ago? Long?
It was.
Yeah, okay.
So the experience was good, but the haircut was it wasn't. You know, and I paid. They taxed my haircut, which my barber never does. I just it's a flat fee.
Yeah, you hand him the 20.
Yeah, you know I got it. So that was it. That was it for me. I don't even think she cut it. I just think it was like I heard the Clippers, but I didn't see it. You know,
She didn't really know what to do with it.
Were you focused on another piece of anatomy?
I wasn't. I think I was just caught up because it's like, all right, I've never been in here. I don't know what to expect. So I was like, I can get a massage. That's cool. Shampoo. All right, I'll take it. You know. And by the time we got to the business end of the business deal, which was my lineup, it wasn't even, you know, just wasn't even what I wanted. So that's it for me. I didn't have any weird like mohawk or anything. That's what it was. It was more so like I felt like I was finessed.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I felt like
You paid for some finesse. You didn't pay for a haircut.
Right. I felt like, when I left out here, I was like, I was really the sucker in the room on that. You know.
Big day?
Was there a pole in that barber shop?
I wish.
When I was a kid, we had our local barber down on the square, and my daddy used to take me down to Rex, and my daddy just tell me to just take the clippers and buzz cut it. Well, as I got a little older, I got to grow my hair longer, and I liked it. I really liked how it was looking. You know, I don't have a buzz cut. I had a little bit of longer hair, and I said, Daddy, I want to, you know, keep my hair a little longer. So he said something to Rex. I didn't hear him. And they buzz cutted the whole part of it except for right here in the front. There was just this thing sticking out the front of my head. And I turned around and I knew better than to criticize Rex. I knew better than to argue with my father. And I knew right then I'm going to have to wear this to school the next day. And this is going to be ugly. So I just was a good little boy. I shut up and went out and went to school the next day. And I went to school 10 minutes and somebody said something about my damn haircut.
Kids are mean, man.
They are, and honest.
Kids are mean. Adrian?
Oh, I had a military dad, so I always knew when I was in trouble that he sat me down in the bathroom and hooked me up with one of his cuts. I had the sexy soup bowl.
Yeah.
So I got in trouble quite a bit in middle school. So
You had a bowl quite a bit.
Yeah.
Got the bowl cut.
Kind of like Eddie Kane on a bad day with a 5 heartbeat. And he would put a nasty, thick, probably thumb wide part.
Right here at the top.
And, oh man, I would get straight. I love it. I get completely roasted at school. Completely roasted. So. Worst haircut.
Exactly what I'm talking about.
When Pops would get on my head, that was the worst haircut.
Now you look at the kids nowadays, that bowl cut's cool, you know, they got that stuff all up here on top, and the sides all shaved down around the side.
This had no fade, had no flavor.
Oh, it was just a straight up bowl
Just a
cut.
straight up bowl.
The honey of the Brothers Grimm got one of them now. You got all these curls on top, and it's just shaved on the side. The money and the honey.
Beaten with a rubber hose.
Chris O'Connor.
I've had that look before, which is, I've had a million bad haircuts. The all-time worst, and I still feel bad about it to this day. So my parents always used to make me keep my hair cut really short, you know, and stuff. So when I left for college, I said, I'm not gonna cut it all year long. Just let it go. So it was really long. My hair goes really fast. It was really long, and I was playing in a stupid band, and I had this dumb girlfriend, and she dyed it purple. And actually, the name of the color was Bodacious Burgundy. I'll never forget the name of this stupid ass color that it was. And I didn't see my folks very often, so I walked in their house. Probably on the last time I ever went back to their house. Right. My mom was in the kitchen and she looked at me and she started crying and took a bowl of whatever she was eating and threw it at my head. And we were just bawling and hysterical. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go. This is a bad haircut in retrospect.
Gonna get a haircut.
And looking back, she was right. It was pretty dumb.
College is for dumb things.
Those are your years to try stupid stuff. Mr. Boland.
I can't remember one because it really hasn't changed since high school.
But you were rocking the same haircut in high school?
Basically,
This is still the worst haircut you've ever had?
Yeah, still the worst.
High and tight, huh?
That's right.
All right.
I'm just amazed how well that toupee stays on your head.
Yeah, I know, right? I didn't tug on it.
Now, you see that?
Oh, I had a horrible spiral perm one time.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, it was not pretty.
Awesome.
What kind of perm? Curls?
Yeah, so spiral perm is literally what it sounds like. It's just spiral.
Oh, yeah.
Which typically, once you can wash it, turn into really pretty waves. But no, that did not happen. It was half curled, half not, really curly in some spots. Yeah.
So you look like little Bo Peep?
Oh my God, it was horrible.
Raggedy Ann over here.
Yeah, that'd be a good one too.
Yeah, it was bad.
Oh God, I'm trying to remember how old I was. I was always to be working, so I was at least 18. I was working at, for anybody out there in podcast land in Chicago, I was working at Evergreen Plaza Mall at a store called a TiVo, selling fashionable men's attire, quote unquote. And so there was a barber in the mall. I decided I was going to try this barber instead of going to my normal barber because at the time, and the other black guys in the room will attest, there was a period when the S-curl look was in. And so I was going to try to get the S-curl in my fade.
Wow. The Jerry curl.
No. These were mostly dry. You put a little oil in, but it was mostly dry.
It looks a lot more slicker than it is.
Yeah. And actually, it looked like you had quote unquote good hair. It just looked curly if it was done right. What I wound up with, because I had a short high top at the time. What I wound up with was basically a straight perm in the top of my head, and because he couldn't get any curls or waves in it, he threw some crips in the front because I had to leave him and go to work. So for at least 3 or 4 days, I had to fade with these crips in front of my head. Looking real ridiculous and suspect. And a couple days later, I looked at myself in the mirror at home and went on ahead and cut that off. I just went on ahead with balls and let it grow back because it was bad.
Well, I had one the other day, which was a beard grooming incident. Because I moved and my beard trimmer didn't have the attachments on it. And so I picked the wrong attachment on it, went up there, started to trim my beard in, you can still see it a little bit. I just cut this swath right here.
You nicked your mustache. Yeah, it's not so bad today.
Swab in it, and of course I had an event that night.
Oh, of course.
We were going down to Monarch to see Kenny, and I got this hole in my mustache for that charity event that Kenny had down to Monarch.
All right. All right. So that question was for shits and giggles. This one is also for shits and giggles, but it requires a little more thought. So, one thing about yourself, one personal fact that nobody would ever guess about you. even if they knew you, they probably just something you just have not necessarily told anybody, but it's just not an easy guess.
All right.
I'll start it off so I can give an example. Most people at this table wouldn't know that at one point I was an altar boy.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Guessing that
Why would you not guess that?
Guessing
Knowing
that-
you, I could totally see.
Guessing that I was an altar boy is not something most people would guess.
Wow.
Yeah. And that wow right there, the reason that is not offensive is because he knows me well enough to know that doesn't sound like me at all.
Right.
That doesn't sound like me at all. But at one point I did go to Catholic school, and we had to participate in the Catholic Church if we were going to go to the school. And how I participated was I was an altar boy. Unfortunately, it's also the same period of time that I discovered my entrepreneurial drive. Because
You had a hustle.
You
yes,
weren't
I
selling
did.
favors to the Father.
Well, no. So what happened? There was only about 4 middle class to poor kids even going to this school, because it was Holy Name Cathedral, downtown Chicago.
Northside kids.
So yeah, it was all downtown kids, Northside kids. And all the families had some kind of money. Like I had the kids of doctors and judges and all kind of other folks in my class. And then, my mom who worked a very regular job, and I took the L up from the south side to come to school, where most of them took a cab from the John Hancock building or wherever they were living to go to school. But I had one advantage that they didn't have. We had like penny candy and junk and stuff like that at the little stores in the L stations that they just didn't have those kind of stores downtown. So I showed up for lunch one day, and I go in my little bag. I must have spent $1 for it, and it was full of little candies and whatnot. And a bidding war started for my candy.
Mario!
And then it hit me. Supply and demand.
Capitalism is a good thing.
And I learned quite a bit those last couple of years of grammar school. One of which was a lesson from being an altar boy. I had another altar boy, was a Filipino kid named Jay. He said, "Hey, we got called to do a wedding."
Perfect.
So we were doing a wedding, and I didn't know what to expect other than to do the service. And as the priest was going out, you had to follow the priest out to the vestibule, and you were, thank you for everybody when they were leaving. So I'm out in the vestibule, and Jay says, "Stand to this side and just be nice, be quiet, just stand over here." I'm like, all right. So I stood over there, and because he had been an altar boy before, he was Catholic. I'm Baptist, by the way, but that's neither here nor there.
Makes it funnier.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, when I went to church, it was to a Baptist church, but when I was doing altar boy services. So I'm standing over to the side, and then so finally the best man comes out, and he's Father, thank you so much. It was a beautiful service. Blah, blah, blah. And he turns to us, and thank you guys so much for being here. Oh, and he goes in his pocket and he pulls out a crisp $20 bill for the both of us.
Perfect.
And second lesson, be where the money is. And from that point on, I didn't turn down any weddings or funerals, for that matter, because they all tipped. Regular Sunday services didn't tip you anything, but all those weddings and funerals, they tipped every single time. And they'd be like, are you sure you did one last weekend? No problem.
No problem.
No problem. I'll be there.
Just not being Catholic.
Yeah. So that is my example, and I will once again start with George Bradbury. One thing about you people would not just guess.
I do a lot of yoga. That's something that I think people would just guess about me. I don't know if it's my height or disposition or whatever, but yeah, I do a lot of yoga.
You stay pretty calm.
Thanks. Coupled with meditation. So, like sometimes it comes out in like conversation if somebody's going through something and they, hey man, what should I meditate, man? What are you talking about? You know,
All right.
You know, so I don't really push it on people or, you know, but yeah, meditation and yoga, man, it's the real deal, I think. So that's one thing that you know, meeting me and just off the rip, you probably wouldn't think that like I'm on the beach in a pose, man, just doing some yoga or some meditation, but I do.
Hey, just for the edification of everybody out there in podcast land, how tall are you?
I am 6'6". Yeah.
So if you imagine a 6'6" black guy in like lotus position, that's good visual for you. So we'll leave there.
All right.
He would look like a pretzel. You'd want to dip mustard on it.
Right.
There's a little salt.
Right.
So, Big Daddy.
Oh, let me guess. You're a registered Democrat.
No.
No.
I don't know. I'm pretty open book. You know, that's hard. Everybody around this table knows that I swim about 5-6 miles a week with a master swim program. And if you look at me, and I'm an old white guy and kind of chubby and don't look like I can swim, but I can swim. But I think the one thing probably nobody knows about is that I like the male tenor opera singers, the Pavarotti, the Carreras, the Roberto Domingo.
No, I would not
Yeah,
have
we're
guessed
not
that.
guessing.
I will, when I'm having a little bit of extra stress, I'll put the 3 tenors on and be cruising down the high road, you know, giving it to go and everything. I know it hurts your ears, Lane, but I got hearing aids, so it's not as bad. But I guess that'd be the main thing there. Other than that, as you all know, I'm an open book. There's not a lot to hide.
All right. Adrian.
The only thing I can think, well, there's some stuff I can think of that I won't tell. That's going to the grave, but I got tricked by 2 different homes.
So that's a different podcast?
That's a totally different podcast.
Okay. So one day I won't send the email to everybody, just to you, so we can get some of these stories.
Got tricked by 2 different homeboys that worked for 2 funeral homes to pick up 2 dead bodies. One was an old lady that I had to help dress. Yeah, it was on a holiday. One of my homeboys, the people that owned the funeral home, was out of town. And he calls me. I just finished eating Thanksgiving dinner with my grandmother. And he says, hey man, I need your help real quick. So I thought he just needed me to go back in some limousines or something like that. I've done that for him 1,000 times before. He says, no, just come inside real quick. So
Never good.
I walk in and there's this naked old lady laying on the table. And he says, I can't pick her up. She was a little heavy. Can't pick her up. I need help dressing her. And I said, dude, I can't do this shit.
Right, you're asking that a lot right now.
I can't do this, man.
I can't do this.
I can't do this. Like,
Right.
I don't even feel like you just kind of caught me off guard, completely off. I just ate.
Right.
I'm just kind of good.
This is an old, naked, dead lady you're talking about. I can't do this.
And you know, the funeral was tomorrow, man, and we got to get her dressed before my boss gets back. I was like, dude, she's naked. I can't touch it. I can't do it.
Right.
He eventually talked me into it, but yeah, that's something I've never shared. But besides he and I,
Right.
You learn to conquer yourself in that situation.
I don't want to.
No more conquering than you
I
want
was
to.
trying to put a good spin on it, man. Shit.
Chris O'Connor.
I don't know that I would say is there. I mean, I don't know why anybody would have guessed this, but I had 2 little small, just interesting facts to just have. One, when I was a kid, Jada was my babysitter, which is kind of fun. So she was engaged to my uncle, and they moved out to California together, and that's when she became an actress. And yeah. So it was kind of weird having her as a babysitter when I was a kid. It was kind of fun looking back on it. And the other small thing that nobody ever, this is completely irrelevant, but I had the apostrophe legally taken on my last name because it was so fucking annoying when I would go places. Because anybody out there who writes computer code knows they use quotes and apostrophes to set off where the computer code is in the script.
Right.
And so everywhere I went, they could never find me because of this stupid apostrophe. So finally I was like, fuck it, I'm taking it out. And oh my god, I thought my dad was gonna have a heart attack. He was about to kick my ass and disown me when he found out. I'm like, no, it's not my problem. They can find me at Northwest Airlines now.
My life is easier. I don't know about yours. That's funny.
It's so annoying. It's to this day, it's funny.
I just thought it was like an Ellis Island mess up.
Yeah, that would have been a better story.
Like?
You know, I have been arrested on every continent in the world except Antarctica.
All right.
That's not surprising at all.
Okay.
Well, put it like this.
I wouldn't.
I tell you, put it like this. We know you, and we didn't know that fact, but that sounds plausible.
How about this? I spent 6 months in a Jesuit seminary.
Okay, that's...
Now that is new information.
Realized I liked whiskey and women way too much.
Okay. So there was a point where you thought about the priesthood?
You know, I came back from my first tour of duty, kind of really messed up because there was a lot of heavy shit that happened during that tour. I was like, screw it, I figured I'd try and deal with it. I figured I had some sort of call. Realized that was just my inner voice that needed a glass of whiskey.
Okay.
Basic yoga and meditation.
Yeah.
And
I don't really know. 'Cause I'm a pretty
Oh, there you go. There's something.
No, I really don't. Like, I'm a pretty open book. Other than
get
most
that.
people
I'm-
don't know,
I'm
I
open book.
like,
You like black fingernail polish.
this is green, thank you.
yeah, it's just super
But
dark
I do
green.
like black.
It's super dark green.
I had to give her something.
Nobody knows your name.
Nobody knows
Well,
your name.
nobody on the podcast.
Yeah, nobody out there in podcast land, but you were about to say something, and nobody knows you like what?
Donald Trump.
Shoot me now if those words ever come out of my mouth.
That would be difficult to believe.
I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I really am an open book.
Yeah. Well, you were about to say something. It may not be.
Well, they know, but like I listen to bad rap, not bad like dirty rap.
Yeah.
So, rap I shouldn't like.
Too short?
Yeah. Lots of Easy
like,
E.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember getting in the car one time and she was playing a just filthy Eminem record, and I kept looking like, you like this record? Like, for real, like, you like this record?
Shake that
Yeah, I know.
with Nate Dogg.
Yeah, right, with Nate Dogg and everything. Yeah, I mean, there had to be
I have a very
73
wide,
bitches and hoes in that record. It had to be.
and the whole time I'm singing it or rapping
Yeah,
it, I'm
just-
like, I know I shouldn't like this, but I love it.
Yeah. Dirty rap
But,
songs.
I mean,
That's called a
really,
guilty pleasure.
Dirty rap songs.
I'm not guilty. I own it. I just I have such a wide range of music that I like, so it's Mario's heard it all.
Yeah. All right, so with that, we'll be right back. Hey out there in podcast land, we would not be doing our duty if we didn't acknowledge the sponsors of the Loft Party Podcast, the Majestic Restaurant and Jazz Club, and the Majestic's Pendergast Club. The Majestic carries on Kansas City's tradition of great food and jazz. Let them show you why they are the classic Kansas City steakhouse experience. 931 Broadway, just 3 blocks from the Kansas City Convention Center. J. Rieger and Company, a Kansas City distillery. Whether whiskey, gin, or vodka, neat or on the rocks, J. Rieger, Kansas City, sipping good since 1887. C&P Construction, Kansas City's premier wood framers. 50 years of quality framing and craftsmanship. Just email david.cnpservice@gmail.com and start building something new today. And our friend and frequent guest, Lane Boland. Thank you all for all that you do.